A DU college basketball player is out of jail this morning. Police say Coben Porter, the younger brother of Nuggets Michael Porter Jr., was arrested on suspicion of vehicular homicide. What investigators are saying about the deadly crash. Decriminalizing jaywalking on the streets of Denver. Denver City Council is moving one step closer to no longer ticketing offenders. What supporters and opponents have to say. Plus, lowering energy costs for Coloradans. The Colorado Public Utilities Commission will tackle that issue this week as Colorado is in the middle of another blast of cold weather. Well, thanks for joining us on Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Micah Smith. The younger brother of a Nuggets player is out of jail this morning after Denver police say he was involved in a deadly crash over the weekend. Coben Porter is on the roster for DU's basketball team. He was arrested on Sunday. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta has been following the story all morning long. She joins us in studio. Veronica, we're learning more about what happened.
We are, and just into our newsroom less than 30 minutes ago, not only the mugshot of Coben Porter that we have here, but also now police said that Porter had those bloodshot and watery eyes, was slurring his speech, and smelled like alcohol. Police also said Porter was driving 50 miles an hour near Bucktel and University. He ran that red light and hit that other driver who ended up dying on scene. Coben Porter is the younger brother of Nuggets Michael Porter Jr. He's a sophomore on DU's basketball team. This morning we know Michael Porter Jr. was not involved in the crash. That's according to the Nuggets. We also know Michael Porter Jr. was not at last night's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder because of, quote, personal reasons. We reached out to DU for a statement on this. They said, in part, quote, "This is a tragic and heartbreaking situation, and our deepest sympathies are with those involved in the accident, their families, and friends." Now, DU says counseling resources, those are available today. We're working to learn more about that victim in the crash. As for Coben Porter, there was a warrantless blood sample collected by police yesterday. We know he's no longer in jail because Michael Porter, his older brother, bonded him out. Coben's next court date, that's on February 6th. In studio, I'm Veronica Acosta. Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Veronica. New this hour, another drunk driver sideswiped Aurora's interim police chief. Art Acevedo says the suspect drove onto the wrong side of the road, hit the chief's vehicle, and kept on going. Acevedo, who was off duty at the time, followed the driver until Denver and Aurora police could arrive and take them into custody. Loveland police are still searching for this truck that they believe is connected to the shooting of two teenage boys Friday night. One of them died, and the other was taken to the hospital with injuries. The 18-year-old who died is Nasir Graham. Police say the suspects, who were in a stolen Dodge Ram, shot Graham and then stole his car. Shortly afterwards, the suspects crashed into another car a 16-year-old was driving. They got into an argument which led up to the suspects shooting that teen as well. We spoke to a girl who says she knew Graham and that his death has rocked the tight-knit community.
Nas was a really kind-hearted people person. He cared a lot about people's emotions and their mental health and just keeping the group of people that he was around lively. It's something that you don't expect in a community that you seem to find so safe.
If you know anything or recognize the vehicle investigators say is involved, contact Loveland Police. The Colorado Supreme Court will review the use of a Google reverse keyword search used to tie 3 teens back to a deadly arson in Green Valley Ranch. 5 Senegalese family members were killed back in 2020. The fire was meant to be revenge for a robbery a few weeks earlier, but the suspects targeted the wrong house. During the investigation, police got a warrant for Google searches of the home's address. Attorneys argue the warrants were overly broad and violated protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. A Denver district judge upheld it back in November, ruling the warrants were narrowly tailored to specify the type of evidence police were looking for. The Colorado Supreme Court will take up the case in May. The Colorado Public Utilities Commission will meet this week to talk about finding ways to lower your energy bills. The meeting was supposed to happen last week, but was rescheduled to this Wednesday due to the snowstorm. The commission will analyze the year-over-year bill changes for a typical customer and break down the main reasons for the increases. It's important to note that the same commission also approved all 5 of Xcel's rate increases that were requested in 2022, despite the company bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. More than 290,000 Colorado households will soon have less money to buy groceries. Extra SNAP benefits from the pandemic end in 1 month. Let's take a closer look at that impact. A single person could lose around $90 in benefits per month. For a family of 4, that's around $360 less per month. Recipients we talked to say with inflation, they're worried about making ends meet.
I look at the sale ads and I see sugar-coated cereals for $1.99 a box, but I can't eat that. I can't survive on that.
If you need help, there's the USDA's Emergency Food Assistance Program. Colorado's Double Up Food Bucks program gives families cash back for buying healthy foods with an EBT card. You can also look up a food bank or pantry near you. Now to the latest on the mass shooting in Monterey Park, California, where 10 people were killed and 10 more hurt during a Lunar New Year celebration. The alleged gunman died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound during a standoff with police. That's according to authorities. And now we're learning more about the victims and about a second incident authorities say involved the suspect. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Investigators hunting for answers in the horrific Monterey Park massacre, scouring the alleged gunman's home for evidence.
We're looking at all criminal history, mental health history, and see if it impacted what occurred here, the motive.
Law enforcement sources telling ABC News the 72-year-old suspect, Hu Can Tran, had no known criminal history before authorities say he opened fire at the Monterey Park dance hall on Saturday night. This woman was inside when gunshots rang out, saying her dance partner was killed while shielding her as they hid under a table.
After the shooting finished, he left, and then I called my partner, wake up, he don't wake up. After that, I realized he already at the back, bleeding.
10 people lost their lives, 10 others wounded, some still hospitalized. Authorities say about 20 minutes after the shooting in Monterey Park, the suspect entered a second dance hall in neighboring Alhambra. Exclusive surveillance images show him armed with a semi-automatic assault pistol. 26-year-old Brandon Say wrestling the weapon away from him before he could injure anyone else.
When he started prepping the weapon and something came over me, I realized I needed to get the weapon away from him, disarm him, or else everybody would have died.
SWAT teams later surrounding this white van about 30 miles from where the gunman first opened fire. The suspect barricaded inside, engaging in a nearly 2-hour standoff. Police say he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Investigators are now trying to figure out what relationship the alleged gunman may have had to the victims. Domestic violence is one of the scenarios that they're looking at. Rena Roy, ABC News, Monterey Park, California.
Denver is looking to decriminalize the act of jaywalking on city streets. Denver7's Brandon Richard has a look at what this could mean for pedestrians as City Council looks to get one step closer in the process.
Well, it's probably safe to say that most of us have jaywalked before, or certainly we've seen people jaywalking, and instead of walking down to an intersection and using a crosswalk. It doesn't really seem like such a big deal, but it is technically illegal to do in Denver, and it could get you ticketed and fined up to $95. But tonight, the Denver City Council will consider a proposal to decriminalize jaywalking. Now, 3 city council members say that they've been looking into this issue, and they say their research has found that since 2017, the Denver police have issued 135 citations for jaywalking. They say 41% of those citations were given to black people, even though blacks only make up 10% of Denver's population. They say their research also shows 25% of jaywalking citations were given to people experiencing homelessness. Now, Councilmember Candy Sidabaka has teamed up with Council members Jamie Torres and Jolyn Clark on a proposal to decriminalize jaywalking in Denver. But Councilmember Kendra Black says she's worried that will send a mixed message that it's okay to jaywalk, potentially putting people in danger.
People are jaywalking all day, every day, all over the city, but the citations are only happening in a particular part of the city, and they're only targeting a particular type of individual.
There's an average of 22 citations over the past 6 years. In a city of 750,000 people, I would not say 22 citations a year is a real problem.
And the council members say they need to make clear that under their proposal, pedestrians would still need to yield to vehicles whenever those vehicles have the right of way. We reached out to Denver police. They They say that they don't comment on proposed changes, but they say they do respect the council for its thoughtful consideration. Reporting in Denver, Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
To the latest on the search for a new coach for the Broncos. The team's ownership group is set to interview head coach finalists this week. Former Saints head coach Sean Payton is the new frontrunner for the job, but the team does face an interesting road ahead if they pick him. They would be forced to trade with the Saints for the coach and likely have to give up at least one first-round draft pick. Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn and Stanford head coach David Shaw are also in contention. Looking to save money on your grocery bill? You may want to consider this.
I'm John Matteries with grocery prices up sharply over the past year. How about buying half-price groceries? I'll show you some great new programs for saving on food coming up.